Isn't it funny that we came up with the greatest runner for this weekend in the last 10 minutes of the convention? Yeah, right. Anyway, it feels natural to wrap it all up. I want to mention to you that yes, being up here on stage and talking and meeting with all of you this weekend has been an absolute joy for me. So thank you, by the way, all. All right. It's time. It's time to sort of get down to the MO of this whole deal, all right? It's in the city of brotherly love. We should talk about the greatest bromance. So I would like to welcome to the stage Psych creator Steve Franks. There he is! One more time. And also out here, James Roday. Rodriguez. Sit down, let's do that. Well, we have psyched it out in the end. Oh, but yes, we have. This is it. We've done it. We've completed a weekend. Yeah.
Started with broccoli bacon and it ends like this.
Is your mic on? No. Let's try it again. No.
What number are you, James? 3. Microphone 3. Is the switch on? There we go.
Hello. In the words of the great Jimmy Simpson, go.
Do you realize there are psychos all across the country that you and a friend can say goo to, and they have no freaking idea what you're talking about, and they claim to be Psych fans. It's on you guys for making the trek out here. All right, this is the last one, the best one. I insisted on being part of this panel because I just want to sit here and listen to these guys answer questions. So I'm not going to ramp into anything. I'm going to get directly to you guys, and then we are going to hear possibly the most exciting stories we've ever heard in our entire lives.
And entire lives from April 11th through April 13th.
We are starting on both sides with some incredible costumery, but I think I want to start on this side.
You know, I just realized this is like the living embodiment of I've heard it both ways. There we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, is that Mary Lou Baumgartner?
Mary Lou Baumgartner, Beta Kappa Theta.
Well done.
My question is, if Sean and Gus actually did commit a murder, who do you think they would kill and how?
Well, the one thing we know for certain is that it would not be Gus's job to clean up the crime scene.
That's true. That is true. Maybe that's like the sequel to Psych, you know? Gus and Sean hired hitmen, you know? It lasts like one episode because I get my DNA all over the place and then we get arrested and then put them behind bars for life.
I feel like they would have to accidentally murder someone and then try to figure out how to cover it up. And so that we wouldn't ruin the legacy of the show, it would have to be a really bad person too, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So imagine a really horrible person and then Sean and Gus accidentally hitting them in the blueberry, stuffing them into the back, dumping them into some sort of body of water, and listening to the Pet Shop Boys while they did it.
Trout?
Yeah.
And even though they did something terribly wrong, somehow everyone is really happy because it was a really bad person.
Trout.
Yeah, Trout makes sense.
Take it down, Trout.
That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, hey, everyone, please marvel at the costumes that are going on here.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you for today. It was a really wonderful day. I just want to say that. My name is Kelly. As I told James earlier when I met you at my photo op, Sean is my spirit animal, along with Kimmy Gibbler from Full House. That is it, my chaotic combo. I want to know what your spirit animals would be, parent-wise. Like, what would be the mom and the dad of the spirit animals?
Who has a spirit animal up here?
Oh wow, I'm like,
But it's got to be like a mom and dad from a show spirit animal?
Yes.
Okay.
wow. Maybe George Jefferson and Wheezy.
I think I would, I don't know, it's like a single parent household and my father is Leland Palmer. It's dark, but it feels like, you know, maybe it would have gone differently if there was no Laura, so I'll give him a shot.
You didn't want me to answer that question, right?
I mean, you can.
You know what, I think I'm fine. I mean, it seems like you were just being polite, and I really appreciate that. Here's the thing about Psych fans. The politest people in the entire world. And my answer would have been Fred McMurray from My 3 Cents.
Hi everyone. My question is general for anyone, but if you could cast Sean and Gus in a musical to star in, what would it be?
Jesus Christ, superstar, are you really what they say you are? Black Jesus. John Legend did it. You can do it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? There you go.
Thank you.
All right, over here on this side.
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm from Virginia. Thank you guys so much for being here this weekend. Do you have a favorite flashback moment of younger Sean and younger Gus? And what friendship advice would you give to the audience?
I'm going to tell you my favorite flashback moment, which never made it to air, but if you have the season 1 DVD, it's in the extras. The first young Gus was my nephew Julian, who at that time was maybe like, I don't even know, maybe like 5 or something like that, 4 or something like that. He's young Sean opens up the curtain and he's in there eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Julian is now like 26 years old, and he was just in Italy with his girlfriend. So I mean, time is really, I'm actually kind of jealous of him because he sent me a video of him drinking some limoncello in Italy, you know. So time has really flown by since then. So that would be my favorite young Gus moment. Season 1 DVD, only those who know, you see? And if you don't have the season 1 DVD, then you can just suck it.
That's a very sweet invitation. I've always been partial to the American Duos flashback because we made those 2 youngsters dress up like Michael Jackson rolling a saddle. Because that's what we wanted to do. They had to do it too. It's fun to do things to kids. They're good sports. Steve, do you have a favorite flashback?
I have 2. I have 2, and I think the one that was the most fun for me was when Sean and Gus were in the scene with the young Sean and young Gus in the classroom. And James and Sean was fascinated, and they were mutually fascinated with each other's hair. Yeah. But I have to say, I have by far a #1 favorite performance of young Sean, and that is James Roday playing 16-year-old Sean with the Judd Nelson hair, Season 2, Episode 1.
That wig. Man, that was the only time in the entire show where, like, Corbin's fake hair was better than mine. He did not have the worst wig in that episode. I forgot about that one, man. Good pull.
That's a great question, thank you. Okay, on this side.
Hello, gentlemen. Sean from Jersey. And Steve, if you're looking for a food place in Jersey, Spain Inn, shrimp and garlic, T-bone steak on a hot stone, flan, sangria, 5 different kinds.
Well, you know how James feels about a good flan.
Yeah, where in Jersey is this?
This is Piscataway, Spain Inn.
Hey, it's Piscataway. Okay, Piscataway. All right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
used to play out Piscataway in soccer growing up. Sure enough. Yeah.
So
I can't stand Piscataway. I used to beat us all the time.
So I've got a little bit of a statement followed by a question for James. So across the street, there's an awesome place full of tons of food, from cheesesteaks to cheesecake to gyros to shawarma. I mean, Sean and Gus would have loved the place. I always thought it was called Reading Terminal, and I know Steve said he mispronounced it by saying reading, but I'm going to defer to James. Is it reading or Reading?
I know the answer to this question. And it's that I've heard it both ways. Thank you for that softball. Opposite field, over the wall.
Once again, I did come out earlier and apologize for calling it reading, and it is Reading, and I know that. I knew that when I wrote it. I just got scared. I panicked. I saw the word, and my lips wouldn't do what I wanted them to do. So apologies again. Over here.
Hi guys, I'm Megan from Orange County, California.
Yes.
I know somebody else from Orange County. Raise your hand.
So I just got, who else? My friend back there, she's also. So I just got news that Walt Disney Productions decided to get rid of Goofy's best dog pal. So I have to ask, did you hear about Pluto?
That's messed up, right? You see? Now, only they did that a few days ago, that could have ended up in the table read last night, you see?
My real question is, what is the craziest thing that a fan has done for or to you?
Megan, you're going to cause a lot of problems on this stage. A lot of them.
I mean, I have to go back. I mean, it was kind of, it just, maybe a pause. It's back when I was doing a show on Broadway called Bring the Noise, Bring the Funk. And I came out of the stage door. We'd just been sweating like for 2 hours. Had a towel, because I sweat a lot. So I had a towel like wiping off all my sweat. I was out there signing some autographs, and this one lady was like, you know, can I have your towel? I was like, what? So yeah, this sweaty towel? Yeah, can I have your towel? I said, sure, fine. And I gave her the towel, and I don't know if you remember like the first time Gus ran away screaming. That's how she ran down 49th Street in New York. I don't think she got an autograph, because she got a towel like, ah! That's what it was. That was like 25 years ago, so that sticks out.
This isn't crazy, but I had mad respect for it. I was doing a play in New York. Was this maybe 15 years ago? And you come out after the show, stage door, there would be people waiting that wanted you to sign their playbills or whatever. And there were these two older gentlemen, like old school. They had like their autograph moleskin books, right? They had probably had for 40 years, and that they had gotten autographs from everybody who had ever done a show in New York. And I was surprised that they had come to the show in the first place. And they handed me their little moleskins, and I was like, gentlemen, yeah, thank you for coming tonight. Sign. They don't go anywhere. They check it, they look back at me and they go, legible, please.
I mean, have you seen his autograph? I mean, you can't blame him.
We'd like to see every letter.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, sure, of course. I turned the page, and as I'm doing it, I'm looking at other names that they had in their notebooks, and sure enough, every single person had spelled out every single letter of their first and last names very clearly. And I was like, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. When you got an old school book like that, you're like, I've been doing this a long time. You too. Can you see that? James Cagney. Can you see that? Edward G. Robinson, see? Bill Bojangles Robinson, see?
They had them all. Now they have mine.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you.
Hey guys, so my question is for both of you. What's your guys' favorite Gus Don't Be a Blank?
You know what? I heard it today. It has not made it into the show yet. Gus, don't be the cracker that Polly wanted. Somebody named Polly here. Is that you back there, Polly? I was like, no, that's pretty good. I said, that's pretty good right there.
That's a tough one. Didn't we do one where it was like, I think in the moment we were like, I think we're out of these. And then it became like the thing that launched us another, it was like, Gus, don't be this
crevice in my arm. It was like, we're really digging deep down. Wow.
But that was the boost that we needed.
It was. So don't be the crevice in my arm. Wow. And it made it to air too.
Thanks for letting us off the hook on that one.
Thank you guys.
All right, let's say.
Hello there. Hello.
My question is for all of you, but Dule, I'm going to warn you, you need to be careful here, because there is a correct answer to this question. And if you get it wrong, Jasmine Simon is going to rain fire down on you.
Okay, next question.
Yes.
Go over here.
Thank you so much. Good seeing you all, everybody. All the best.
My question is, if you could cast the wonderful Jasmine Simon in any episode of Psych as any character, which character would it be?
I know the answer. It's from Earth to Starbucks. That's the answer. Where I say the line, have you heard about Pluto? That is my final answer. And the survey says,
good answer.
All right.
You passed.
Woo! I'll plus one that. I'm not trying to get in trouble, so. Yeah, the same one.
Steve, be your own man, Steve. You know, say something here.
Here's what I do. I would have written the character Selene in the pilot.
Ooh.
That way, she could have been with us the entire run of the show.
Ooh, yeah, see? Look at that. That's an even better answer right there. Yeah.
That's an even better deal than Maggie got.
But please don't tell Jasmine that I didn't say that answer. Now I realize my answer wasn't as good as Steve's.
All right, this side.
Hey guys, I'm Alex from Virginia. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys for this show. It seriously means so much to everybody. I know it's been a long weekend, but I think I speak for all of us when I say, proud of you. So to start us off, Dule, my wife, whose birthday was yesterday, had a special request. Is there any way you can say, yes, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, and now, my real question. In the spirit of bromance, what was your favorite scene or episode to shoot together? And Steve, was there a favorite one that you had that they shot together?
You stumped him. Now I was hoping I could go third. Honestly, if I could say something about while these guys think and just try to vamp, and I just want you to know, Alex, as I start this sentence, I have no idea what's going to be at the end of it. But let me just say that in the third movie, This Is Gus, the scene where Gus's baby is born was such an intensely technical piece that we shot over 2 days, and some of the hardest, I almost wet my pants laughing I've ever done on the set of the show. Wow, cameras are this close, and Jasmine is screaming, and it was one of those times where I like to try to take stock of what's happening in a moment and go, wow, this is happening for us right now. And I was so grateful for everything that had happened all the way from the beginning of this. And I just watched the entirety of it flash before my eyes. And these guys are just so funny and great together. And we're having this quintessential moment in this character's life. And we're just so lucky. We're just so lucky. And for me, that's the most recent and the most fun I've had in a long time.
I think what comes to my head is this episode sucks. Because we kept cracking each other up every time I dressed up as Blackula. And I would say, make it a Bloody Mary. You know, anytime we got a chance to dress up and act a fool, I just always love those episodes.
Since you framed it with bromance, I'm gonna say A Nightmare on State Street. And the reason I'm gonna say that is because it's the last episode we shot. I was barely in it, and I made Dule run around and scream nonstop to the point that I know that he was just over it.
Which is why I didn't choose that episode.
Yeah. But while we were doing that for those, final 8 days or whatever, I just felt such an immense gratitude that he was the one that I had gone on that journey with, and I could not imagine having done it with anybody else. And that's sort of what that episode did for me.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. You guys are the best.
Besides Omar Epps, and Morris Chestnut, and Tate Diggs, and Lorenz Tate, and Samuel L. Jackson, and Denzel Washington.
All unavailable.
And Emmanuel Lewis.
All right, so this question's for Dule, or should I say Donna Holstein, Ovaltine Jenkins, G. Buttersnaps, Lavender Gooms, The Vault of Secrets. Throughout the series, your parents made a few appearances. Your mother, played by Felicia Rashad, obviously one of the most iconic TV mothers of all time.
Of course, yeah.
I always liked how believable that relationship, that mother-son bond with you was on the show. Do you think that could partly be attributed to your history working with her all those years while playing Bud on the Cosby Show?
Oh, that's funny. I don't even know how to respond to that,
Well, let me do it for you.
There you go. I do love Felicia though. I have known Felicia Rashad for a very long time. I first met Felicia, I think, when I was in my teens somewhere. So the idea for her to be able to come and play my mother on the show was something very special to me. And even, I remember that final episode, I was going through a life transition and we were able to just have really good talks. I'm so grateful for her artistry, for her passion, for her gift, for her light, for her encouragement. She really does mean the world to me.
All right, this side.
Hi, James, Dule, and Steve. Thank you for hanging out with us, first of all, for this weekend. And thank you to everybody who worked the event all weekend. I really appreciate it.
Yes, of course, let's get up.
This is my first time, so it's been amazing. I thank everybody involved, so thank you. All right, so some of the questions this weekend have prompted really fun responses. I hope mine's not too serious. As an adopted black and white kid of the 80s, it was mad hard trying to find a TV show that I could resonate as a whole person with. So I've been thinking about it, and guys, this show, all I can do is compare it to like a very nutritious bagged lunch with all the food groups represented in a very Bender-esque type of way. And I love the fourth wall breaks. One of my favorites is Gus, don't be the only black lead at a major network. And then the moments where cultural differences are like highlighted, you know, in a plain but, you know, a plain but sane kind of way, like the other one in On Topsy-Turvy, and he's like, and my partner here is black. I mean, literally just hard stop. I think that these kinds of things like really are great in that you found humor in being able to bring these differences and awareness to the forefront. And so it made a fictional show still feel very authentic and real in those ways. So for Steve, was that the intention from the start when developing the characters of Sean and Gus? And for James and Dule, did any of your lived experiences influence or lead to the inclusion of some of these moments in the series?
That's a great question.
First of all, that question was so well written, I need to put her on staff. It's, you know, what it is it's like there's so many things that this show is about, and it's what these guys are and what friendships are, and none of their differences matter to them. It's like, it's almost like, you know, when we did the line about don't be the only black lead on the network, it was a little message to our bosses, just for fun for us. But it's like for me, it's like I felt like these guys, you know, they represented just what my life growing up was, and these were all of the people that we hung around with. And the funny thing is, my Gus in my life is my friend Dean, who I met when I was 4 years old, and he's Japanese. And so it wasn't exactly the pivot point of that, but it was like we came from very different places, and so for friendship, you know, to be represented as something that nothing where you came from is not the core, it's who the person is. That was, I'm not really making a great answer out of this, but.
What you reaching for, though? You know what I mean? No. But look, I'll say this. I mean, what I loved about the characters is that they brought their whole selves to their relationships. And it wasn't always defined by their race or their background. It was just about these two brothers who came from different mothers who really just loved hanging out, but didn't have to check any part of themselves at the door. And they appreciated each other for who they were and what they brought to the table. Some of it being cultural differences, others just being their own neuroses about things, the things that they're interested in. I like safe cracking magazines. You know what I mean? You know. And in terms of the question of did we bring any of our experiences, I have to go back to the pilot, which I know we talked about before. But like in the pilot, when Gus puts his hands on the dashboard, that wasn't written in the script. But because of my life experience, growing up, being a black man, being a black boy, when I first started even driving, that's something that you teach your kids. Put your hands where you can be seen. You know, unfortunately, that's just the reality that we live in. But we were able to find comedy in it. Because it is true, I put my hands, some people are like, what are you talking about? And we played it on screen. Where Sean was like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It was like, you don't move. What you do is you leave your hands here. I love how we can find comedy in this show and cover issues and not be too heavy-handed about the issue, but still entertain along the way. You know?
Yeah. I would definitely agree with all of that, and I think as the show found its sea legs, we got more comfortable leaning into the things that were important to us, as opposed to just how do we make this show successful and keep it on the air. And I remember, you know, Dule and I having a conversation, you know, season 2, season 3-ish, where we were like, you know, Gus is black. Gus needs to be black. Like he needs to represent that. So that when people are watching this show, they see that experience reflected back onto himself. And I think from that moment on, we became a lot more cognizant of choices that we were making in that regard, because, yeah, we wanted Gus to be Gus, but we also wanted Gus to be black.
Correct. There it is.
Thank you so
That's such a good question. And it's funny because when I first wrote the script, I thought that these characters were each half of my personality, and I feel like I'm more the Gus who's the safe person, but also I wanted to be the Sean of it all. And last night when we were reading those audition scenes, I was brought back to like, at that point, those characters were not yet who you guys were. And it was so interesting to see, like, I had this framework, but these guys created the people. And they're the ones who fleshed it out. And I wish I could go back in time. If we ever remake anything, let's go remake the pilot and see what that would be the most interesting remake of all that, because these guys created the characters. I only put some words down on paper.
You're selling yourself a little short.
So what Steve's really trying to tell you all is that he has been half black all along.
My name is Sarah, and my first question is for James. Can you do the teenage Jules voice?
Like the diner one?
Yes.
Sean? Sarah, wasn't the highlight of this weekend hearing what Dule's version of the teenage Jules was?
Yes.
That was all I was looking forward to.
My second question is, what was your guys' favorite episode to film?
There's so many. There really is. So I mean, I was like, it's a little asterisk, because to say favorite is really a strong word, but I always go back to American Duos. It was just so much fun, and because it was so early, like really is the bookends of Scary Sherry and American Duos. One being the season finale, the other one being the season premiere, because that's when we start to realize how ridiculous we could be with our show, and it could work. It's like, wow, we ended the show being in a haunted house, really, and now we're starting this with a drip, drip, Jerry curl. So, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like I could give a different answer, every time I get asked that question, because I like different episodes for different reasons, and it kind of just depends on how I'm feeling on a given day. So today I'll say our baseball episode, just kidding. No, I'll say, since we lost one of the most iconic filmmakers who ever lived this year, in addition to Val, I'll say Dule Spires, because that was my opportunity to pay tribute to one of my favorite directors and one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and every expectation was exceeded. I was a fanboy for 8 days, and I'll never forget the experience.
And if I can answer a question that nobody wanted me to answer, I will say the season 8 episode, the Harry Potter episode, because it took us 8 years to get James to break repeatedly on screen. And just by Dule saying spotted dick.
Oh, I know I wasn't spotted dick.
Yeah, the planets really aligned for that one, man. Right day, right time, right line. Really, really got me.
Oh, he got him.
And that was a really special episode because it was almost all you guys. So it was season 8 and people were going off to the next show, and it was kind of the last easy, there was a lot of, we were all smiling and laughing at the beginning, and then all the goodbyes began as the season went on. So it was kind of that last final moment with all of us just being light and
we got to go all the way to Vancouver.
All the way.
Yeah, to be in England.
But that question could go on forever. I mean, there's so many episodes that could always make it up there. Last Night Gus was a favorite. Office Space was a favorite. I love anything I said that involves quarter black. The list goes on.
Over here.
Hi, my name's Shalonda. I'm from New York, but I have to say upstate because there's a difference. I always tell people that I feel really validated following every passion, every single thing I want to do, because Sean did a million jobs and he mastered them. And then
Sean did a million little things. I'm here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But then he found his big thing that constantly challenged him and made him use his skills in a different way every day. So I wanted to know, when writing or when acting, James, and also a question for Steve, did you think at all about the potential for neurodivergence in his character, or how that might impact or come across to fans? Because it definitely hit me, and I know a lot of other people as well.
Great question.
That's a lot of.
So glad you asked Steve and Roday and not me.
Hold on. Did I was I thinking about neurodivergence with that, or is
Yeah, was that ever like an element for Sean's character? Because I have ADHD, I'm probably definitely on the autism spectrum. And so I totally relate to like following every little passion, finding what makes you happy, and then kind of moving on and doing all these different jobs. But him having that job specifically, where it's something new and challenging every day that really encompasses his skill set but allows him to venture off in a way that like an office job wouldn't, I really relate to that. That definitely helped me choose my career path and feel confident in it when maybe elders were telling me to do something more secure.
I think Sean definitely has ADHD. I think we all know that. I think if the show were to start today, that would probably be something that we could just easily bake into his character, find comedy in the same way we did with everything else. I think that's a really good thing that we're at a place now where it's that simple. But looking back, I absolutely think all of those traits are there in Sean, and be really interesting to have explored them through a different lens, you know, knowing what we know now and seeing how far, you know, we've come culturally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to me, it's like, it goes back to it, and I've said this before, so James, if I'm repeating something I've said before, I apologize in advance, but I think the core of this idea is sort of what my life philosophy is, and it's very simple. And it's like, you should have as much fun as you can, as often as you can, for as long as people will allow you to do that. And for Sean Spencer, he's the embodiment of what's next, what's happening, what can we do? How can we make this fun? And these guys as actors are the ones who take every little moment and try to squeeze the most out of it. So to me, it's like, that feels that we should have as many jobs as whatever, we shouldn't be tied down to an office job. We should, that feels like, to me, that's the straight and narrow path to a career, because Sean is looking for adventure at every moment, and why should being in an office and having a salary and all that stuff be the path that people aspire to? To me, Sean's journey is the heroic one and the hard choice, and always finding something new and exciting and a reason to do something, new. So, and that's the way I always looked at it.
Just please tell me you didn't open up a fake psychic detective agency.
I may in the future.
All right, well.
It's still in the books.
I'll be your first client.
Shalonda, upstate New York.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm John from Michigan, and I was just wondering, I don't know if this is for Steve with input from the others or the other way around, but as you were developing the characters of Sean and Gus, were there any particular characters from other media that you used for inspiration for parts of those characters? Anything like that?
First of all, I don't know any other characters from other media that are like these two right here.
Steve and I have talked about this before in interviews, where when we came together at the very, very beginning, he referenced Ferris Bueller and I referenced Chris Knight from Real Genius. And we sort of looked at each other and said, oh, we're gonna be okay. Like, if we land somewhere between those two guys, we're both gonna be pretty stoked.
Yeah.
And Dule was always talking about Mr. T. Specifically his work in DC Cab. So,
Of course. For me, honestly, a lot of it was pulled from growing up with my cousins. You know, I was just seeing how we all used to act the fool was where I tried, was the lens I looked through to approach Gus. And if I didn't really pull it from anybody who I saw out there in media before, but the thing that always attracted me to Gus was if he thought that he was the coolest dude on the planet, but in reality, he really was not. That would be a fun journey to go on. And in every situation, he was the smoothest dude. You know, and that's exactly what we ended up doing on the show.
But here's what's funny about Gus. Gus may be like, you know, in terms of that, he may not be 100% right, but the world should agree with Gus.
I think so.
So it's the world that's wrong.
Of course.
Not Gus.
Of course. You know what I mean?
And I will say the one thing, and it's not a movie or a television show, but if there was something I was really sort of riffing on, it's the feeling I got when I read Calvin and Hobbes, my favorite comic strip of all time. It's the one wise person and the one person who's out of control. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Wes from Philadelphia, go Birds. This is a deep cut, but it's a bromance-related question, and it's loomed over my head for so many years. In the thrill-seeking episode where Gus gets an adrenaline junkie girlfriend, Sean's feeling insecure, and he asks if their longtime dream will still come true, and they'll one day be neighbors and have a pool that spans across both of their backyards. So I'm just wondering if you think they'll ever have that shared pool, and if we'll ever see it in a second movie.
I mean, I think that they would. I think, I think Roday would be down for that. You know, she would like the idea of that. So I think in the end, that's probably what will eventually happen. That's what I would say. I would say yes.
Yeah, whether it's an actual physical water park themed backyard bridge slide connection or more of a metaphor. Yes. Yeah.
Here's what I think. I think what you'll probably see is that they do live next to each other, and then Sean is back there trying to build something, and it's really terrible, and Gus is like, what are you doing, Sean? You know what I mean? And Sean probably thought that Gus was serious, and Gus was like, you can't really do that. There'd be a whole thing back and forth about that, about it actually being built.
That's beautiful, thank you guys.
Successful deep cut. Over here.
Hi, I'm Ariana. I love you guys so much, so thanks for being here. This is the best. My question is mostly for James and Dule. So I'm an aspiring writer-director, and I'm curious for you guys as actors, what to you guys makes a good director?
I think what makes a good director is somebody who, one, knows how to communicate with actors, to get the word, to get the work there, and also can be a good facilitator to be able to help an actor navigate through a process, and also knows what to say and how to say it, and really when to keep it moving. Sometimes I think directors can be too long-winded, and you just gotta say the specific thing that connects with that actor. That's what I think makes a good director. And I can keep going on, but somebody who's collaborative, who's open to ideas and doesn't think that it's my way or the highway because I'm the filmmaker here, or I'm the one directing this piece. Someone who can be collaborative of people's input. I think that makes a good director as well.
Yeah, amen. The reason I don't love the a film by credit in cinema is because that's nonsense. The film is made by a whole bunch of people coming together, collaborating. A good idea can come from anywhere. And as the director, you're basically the captain of a ship that requires everybody to be doing the best job that they can do. It's kind of like being a coach of a team. All your players are different. You can't treat them all the same. You have to figure out how to communicate with each of them so that you can get the best out of them. And I will definitely echo, like, don't say more than you need to say as a director. Like, you just communicate what needs to be communicated and then move on.
That can definitely be a mood killer, like a process killer. It's like, if somebody says that they got it, trust they got it, and keep it moving.
Thank you so much.
And good luck to you. I look forward to us working together one day.
Hi there, I'm Vicky from England. And I just wondered, obviously Lock, Stock is one of my favourite episodes because, you know, as Brits we do walk around eating spotted dick and pottering all the time.
All the time.
All the time, that's what we do. But I just wondered if there was a famous Brit that you didn't get in the show that would have been top of your wish list, who would it be and what kind of role or storyline would they have been involved in?
There are 30 answers to that question. David Bowie, that was number one. Every single list that we put for that was David Bowie. Mick Jagger was at one point, they're all rock stars, so no, here we go. There were, I think, Sting was one. Not, anything you can think of, James?
I was going to say Bowie because Steve's right. For 3 seasons, we were pitching him for every single guest star until our casting director finally said, guys, David Bowie's not going to come play the nut guy. Like, it's not going to happen. You have to let this go. And we did.
Well, I guess I'll say, in line with the theme of British singers, I would go with somebody by the name of David Grant, who was a part of a group called The Lynx back in the 80s, who also is my uncle. So that would have been pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? He actually lives out there, he still lives over there in the UK right now.
I think you asked me about him. I met you once in New York and you were like, oh, do you know him?
I do that to everybody with a British accent. I really do. I can't help myself. Every time it happens, Jasmine's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, do you remember this first I go, do you remember the show called Fame Academy? You know what I mean? And he had 2 judges, it was David Grant and Cary Grant. And they said, yes, that's my aunt and uncle. You know what I mean? Not Cary Grant, the actor, not back in the day. Yeah. Sure enough, David Grant. So if anybody sees him, say, I know your nephew Dule, and he said, you were going to buy me a drink.
Thank you so much. The dinner is totally worth it.
Thank you.
Oh, that's really here.
Hi, I'm Holly. So I know a lot of us were worried when you guys announced like one of like how it would look coming back together, if you guys would still have like your magic of your bromance and everything. And you guys did not miss a step. You guys were fantastic and we all loved it, obviously, or we wouldn't be here. So how did you do it? How did you stay together? What is your friendship like outside of this?
I would say you kind of answered the question with your question, because when the show ended, we all stayed together. You know, while we have such a close bond that was formed on the show, we all text each other all the time. Me and Roday, we see each other whenever we can. You know, same thing with Tim and Maggie and Kirsten and Corbin and Kurt and the other Kurt. So I mean, there's just a real love fest that is there. So it wasn't about, oh, I haven't seen you in X number of years. What is our energy like? It really was just, it feels like it never ended. And really with the crew too, bringing back the crew helped as well, because it really brought back all the energy. Once we all got to set and we did one take, it really felt like we had never left. It was kind of a weird deja vu thing that would happen every time we would do one of the movies. Would you all agree?
I agree completely. And by the way, on Dule's first day back for Psych 1, Psych the movie, he did on day 1, the scene where he meets Selenay. That's right out of the gate in the morning.
That's right. And that was a little surreal because it was at the planetarium that we shot it. So it was pretty surreal just to be back there saying, wait a second, we were canceled a couple years ago. And not canceled, but put to rest. And now here we are. But I'm so glad the show is still going on and the love is still there and these characters still have a life.
Yeah, and they hit the ground running. They're amazing.
All you gotta do is say, suck it! Say that one time and you're ready to go.
Although it did take Dule 10 or 15 attempts to get his voice up to the high note in the hallway.
That did happen. It was what was it? Was it a, I don't know. Right. I could not get myself to go, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I said, hold on, let me go warm my voice. That was actually very funny. Over here.
Hi, I'm Corey from Codesville. I'm here with my sister Jackie.
What's happening, Jackie?
We both want to know, in Office Space, is that Creech's actual person or is that like a dummy? Because the things that you did to that guy's body, the vacuum, crawling, the socks, everything. I mean, how do you do that with a straight? How did he do that with a straight face if it was a real person?
He was a good actor. He was committed to the process. You know, that was really Creech. It was that was really him. You know, with that scene. I mean, I always talk about that scene because it wasn't like we just talked about it, and the next thing you know, we started rolling cameras, and that's what it was. You know, especially with the fish tank. There is no way in my sane life that I would drink fish water. It just wouldn't happen. But in the moment, it was right there, and I was committed to the process, so there it was. I always say from that episode, one of my favorite lines is, oh no! Oh no! Creech is dead! Right, over here.
I have a question for Mr. Steve. Is this canon if Henry Spencer was kidnapped by the Colombian government, not the Colombian cartel, and single-handedly took them all down?
He's referring to Corbin last night was pitching for about 40 minutes of a panel. An entire Henry, it was a year-long Henry story that happened. And Corbin will thank you for bringing that up. And we're gonna take it into consideration, Corbin's story. And we're gonna get back to him. Thank you for bringing that up. Over here.
I'm Erin from Oregon. I would like to know, in Mr. Yin Presents, Sean and Gus take custody of Mary Lightly's rat, Ben, and I don't think we ever saw Ben again. So I'm wondering what you all think happened to Mary's beloved pet.
I have no doubt that they did right by Ben, and took him to a place where he lived a rich, rewarding, relaxing life, surrounded by people who really loved mice, rats, other rodentia. I suspect he made some friends that he didn't think he would make.
Some Ben friends.
Possibly had a romance or two.
What a relief this is to know about.
Because he had that hat, so he was money. Like, everybody saw Ben coming. Everybody wanted a piece of that. So
see that rat with the hat? What?
Was he named after the Michael Jackson song, Ben?
Say it again?
Was Ben the Rat named after Michael Jackson's song?
he absolutely was. Which was also a movie called Willard, where the rat was named Ben. Yes. Because we don't have an original thought.
Which is why we remade an entire episode of the show.
But also the character Ben was named for Ben Vereen as well, as a tribute to him, because we didn't want it to be just one thing. So, over here.
You either cast him as the third Mr. Guster or name a mouse after him, of course.
Hi, my name is
Shenan once, and this is my son Shenan again. Melinda and Grayson from Maryland. You guys have given us such an amazing opportunity to be starstruck by your presence, including you, Steve. You created and curated this universe for us to just immerse ourselves in, and we thank you for this. For all three of you, other than your incomparable cast family and the inestimable Val, which guest or recurring star had you freaking out in girlish delight because you could not believe they were joining your cast for the day or however it was? And then Gus, my sister, texted from the back and asked if he could say I can fix that.
Say the last part?
My sister texted from the back and asked if he could say I could fix that.
That's okay. I can fix it.
So the question is, who's the guest star that made us freak out the most, that we were most excited about? There are so many of them, which is the strange thing. For me, it's a guest star that I never got to meet in person, but we had a conference call where we did a table read, and it was Tim Curry. And hearing Tim Curry read our words at that stage of our lives was just so special and so fun and so great. And it was the first of many, many guest stars that we were so excited to meet, and I'm sure you guys have.
That's a really good answer. I'll go in a different direction. I started pitching Billy Zabka in season 1. And it took 7 additional seasons. But we finally got Johnny Lawrence on site, and he was awesome. He was really fun, and he made us laugh, and he's a great guy. And yeah, it's just another one of those ones where it's like, man, I'm just hanging out with the dude. I've seen his movies so many times, and now I'm grown up, and here he is calling himself Coach D-Bag. Life is but a dream.
I think having William Shatner on the show was pretty cool. I was like, this is wild, right? William Shatner is playing Jules' dad. You know, that one really stuck out to me. I mean, something that was, I just never, even my mind would have thought that I would have been working with William Shatner at any point in my life. And that was cool.
Thank you. All right, over here.
Hi, my name is Josie. I was just wondering, James, question is for you. In the musical, you play the piano, and I was wondering if you play in real life, or was that like not? It seemed real.
I grew up playing piano. I did not have to play for real in the musical because those tracks were pre-recorded, so I was basically faking it. If we had done it live and I did have to play the piano, I would have been really nervous because I did most of my piano playing as a kid and kind of stopped after college, but because it was so important to Steve, that episode especially, had he said, I need you to play, I would have practiced like no one has ever practiced before, ever, so as not to disappoint him. I would have tickled the keys.
And do you play another musical instrument?
What's that?
Do you play another musical instrument?
It was always piano and keyboards, yeah.
Oh, is this our last question?
All right, make it good.
All right, make it good. Make it last for 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
Pressure's on. My name's Pete. I live right here in Philly. And I have a question as a fan of the USA Network's other early 2000s detective show, Monk.
All right.
Monk. Try it. What do you think Sean and Gus's sort of bromance dynamic would have been like with Adrian Monk in San Francisco?
Well, I will say this while you think about what it will be. I still have hope that one day you can see that actually happen on screen. I think it would be really cool to see Sean and Gus and Monk interact. I think Gus would actually understand him a little bit. I think Sean would drive Monk crazy. And I think Gus would appreciate having a kindred spirit finally. You see, Monk would probably become like Gus's therapist a little bit. You know, to say, you see what I've been dealing with? Do you see what I've been dealing with? You know what I'm saying? But hopefully it'll be able to happen one day. That would be great.
I remember I did a promo pretty early on with Tony, and that kind of gives you a glimpse of what it would be. Monk could not get away from Sean fast enough. He just didn't understand what was happening in front of him. So I think they would be starting with a lot of ground to cover to try and find some.
You know, I wish sometimes. Sorry, bro. I wish sometimes like television would like be willing to cross worlds a little bit, because like how they had the Monk movie, it'd been very cool just to see Sean and Gus just have one quick little bump into him real quick, going off to something else. Then the next Psych movie, you could pick up that same thing. It's like, oh, that's what was happening. That's why Sean and Gus was there. That'd be pretty cool just to see their worlds collide at some point.
Yeah, that's a great question. We talked a lot about, you know, because we knew we at the end, we knew we wanted to have Sean follow Juliet up there, and in the ultimate testament to this friendship, that Gus was going to go with Sean. They were gonna all pack up to follow her dream and to set up shop up there. And we thought about, oh crap, Monk is in San Francisco too. But Andy Breckman, who runs that show, has been like sort of the guy I have sort of modeled my behavior towards the whole process, because he called me when we got picked up, and he says, anything you ever need, and he was just the sweetest, nicest man, and I never experienced that in this business. So I was like, well, it's possible. So the idea right from Andy, from the beginning, is we realized this kind of attitude and this type of happiness and friendship and embracing of each other and the fandom, it can work, and so it set the template for it. And so should we ever be able to walk through each other's movies or spin-off shows or whatever happens in the future, we would embrace it in a heartbeat, and we would love to do it.
Thank you very much. Love that you left the door open.
I think this gets us to the very end of our evening.
It's true.
Of our weekend, of our psychOdelphia con. But I'd just like to say to these guys who have gone from place to place to place this weekend, with such a smile on their face, and you guys must be exhausted, because this has been non-stop, and it's been non-stop fun for us to do all this. I would just like for you guys just to give it up for these people.
Thanks again. Yes,